In this video, in the second episode of NBA Sports Talk, we're going to be talking about the NBA free agency weekend this weekend in terms of who are the winners, who are the losers of this weekend's free agency weekend of teams signing free agencies. Plus, Damian Lillard has requested to be traded from the Portland Trail Blazers. We're going to cover this and more here on NBA Sports Talk. So do me a favor, lock the door, hide the women and children. NBA Sports Talk is live now. Praise the Lord, everyone. Welcome to NBA Sports Talk. I'm your host, Walter Strong. If you're new here and you want to be able to catch up on the latest NBA news, topics of free agency and trades, we welcome you to the live show. And this evening, as we said, we're going to be talking about this weekend's NBA free agent signings that were basically making news from the time of 6 p.m. this past Friday evening up until now. There have been major moves in the NBA, and so we want to cover that and more, plus the news. Damian Lillard has now requested to be traded from the Portland Trail Blazers. Where are the possible destinations he can go to, and when could he possibly be traded? So we're going to cover that and much more. But if you're just watching us here on YouTube, checking in, let us know where you're watching us from. Give us a hashtag Team Live. And if you're watching the replay of this second episode of NBA Sports Talk, give us a hashtag Team Replay in the comment section. So without further ado, let's fire up the stream deck and get into the content in terms of this past weekend's NBA free agency. Let's first talk about the big trade request that Damian Lillard dropped this weekend to the Portland Trail Blazers. It's been, I believe it's been a long time coming in the making. As much as this man wanted to stay loyal to this organization and wanted to be able to play for one team, the truth of the matter is the Portland Trail Blazers at this point in time now are now going into a different direction after, picking the third pick in the NBA draft and picking, that individual and not being able to build a championship team around Damian Lillard. Plus, this weekend signing Jeremy Grant to a contract that unfortunately doesn't really help the team to improve or get better, but just kind of stay even keel as they are. And basically, they are a play-in team for next year as constructed right now. And so it made sense for Damian to finally come to management and to say, hey, look, for the best interest of myself and the Portland Trail Blazers and the fans, it's time for you to be able to trade me to a championship contending team. This man has put in all the work. He's did everything he could possibly do, even got the Portland Trail Blazers to the Western Conference Finals, only to be swept in 4 games by the Golden State Warriors. It's time to move on. And so what are the possible destinations for Damian Lillard? What are the possible destinations that he could go to? Well, the first possible destination is the Miami Heat with Eric Spoelstra, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Pat Riley and the rest of the Miami Heat organization. That's a great destination. They just were in the NBA Finals where they fell short to the Denver Nuggets. And so you being able to put the right trade package together with Tyler Hero and some other pieces together, and Kyle Lowry, Damian Lillard could definitely next year be next to Jimmy Butler. You can let Dame be the one who is the closer. You can let him be the point guard. and the one that's running the show, and Jimmy Butler doesn't have to put all that offensive scoring on his shoulders. The Miami Heat is definitely the top front runner for Damian Lillard to be traded to and leaving Portland. The second option is going to Philadelphia, the Philadelphia 76ers, and playing with the MVP Joel Embiid. You would have to give up Tyrese Maxey. You would probably have to give up Tobias Harris. And basically, move James Harden if he's looking to move, as it's being reported. Move him to the Clippers. Move him to the Clippers, not the Knicks. We're not going to talk about that right now, but move him to the Clippers and let Damian Lillard come to the Sixers. So I think that's the second option he can move to. The third option, it's been talked and on different sports like ESPN and online, possibly the destination of the Brooklyn Nets. Now, I don't see this, but it's a possibility. Anything's possible. And then you have the Los Angeles Clippers. Again, that's definitely not seeing something you could definitely see happening, but their name is being mentioned. But what is the best team for Damian Lillard to go to, so he can be able to contend for a championship and playing in meaningful basketballs into May into June? That team, ladies and gentlemen, is the Miami Heat. Eric Spoelstra, a proven coach who's been in the championship trenches and have won championships with Shaq and Wade, with Wade and LeBron. He's been to the NBA Finals twice with Jimmy Butler, only to come up short. But that's okay. He's a proven winning coach. The DNA of championship winning is there for Damian Lillard to go to. So we want to keep our eye on that one. Let's move on. Let's now move on to the big signings from this past weekend's free agency. And coming out the gate is Fred VanVleet, who signed with the Houston Rockets with a 3-year deal over $130 million. That there was definitely a major move and shift in the NBA, leaving the Toronto Raptors, now going to the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets just signed a new coach in Ime Udoka, and you have a lot of young pieces there. They've also made some other moves, which we'll get into later on into the show. But they are trending in the right direction. They have a solid point guard who is a championship player, who's been in the championship, who won a championship with Kawhi Leonard. And so this is a step in the right direction in getting the Houston Rockets back to championship glory from the days of Kenny Smith, from the days of Mario Elie, Verno Maxwell, the Dream, Hakeem Olajuwon. This is definitely the step in the right direction in getting the Houston Rockets back into playoff contention basketball and possibly winning an NBA championship in the near future. Then you have Kyrie Irving. No surprise here, signs with the Dallas Mavericks for 3 years for $126 million. So you have him and Luka. They also signed Seth Curry. So that's there's a solid point guard, shooting guard right there who can shoot, who can spot up and hit the three. But you have Irving, who's resigned, and you have Luka. And so Dallas now has to continue to build a team around Irving, around Luka, and be able to put a team together that not only can shoot and play offense, but also defense. Then you have Draymond Green. Again, not a no-brainer here. He signs for 4-year deals with the Golden State Warriors with $100 million. He is definitely a part of their makeup and their DNA of championship basketball. And him with Steph and Clay, it made sense to go ahead and bring this guy back. He's definitely proved himself. And so having him back. Chris Middleton, he comes back with the Milwaukee Bucks at 3 years at $102 million. So definitely, if Milwaukee was going to continue to be one of the top 4 teams in the Eastern Conference, you had to have this gentleman back with Giannis and playing now with a new coach of Adrian Griffin, Drew Holiday. Definitely had to have Chris Middleton back. Hey, do me a favor. If you're getting great value out of this second episode of NBA Sports Talk as we cover the NBA free agency reaction, winners and losers, do me a favor. Click that thumbs up button. Click that like button for us. Hit that share button for us. And if you are watching the replay, make sure you hit the like button. Give us a hashtag team replay in the comments section. Let's move on. Let's get to the notable signings from this past free agency this weekend. One important notable signing, there was no surprise. We knew he wasn't coming back to the Denver Nuggets. So he goes now to the Indiana Pacers. We're talking about Mr. Bruce Brown. He's got a nice bag here for 2 years at $45 million. The Pacers are now starting to put something together with Coach Rick Carlisle. Tyrese Halliburton did an extension. You still have Miles Turner. And so the Pacers are slowly trying to put a competitive team together that's going to play meaningful basketball in May and in June. They haven't really played any really meaningful basketball since the days of Paul George and Danny Green. I think was it Danny Green? No, I can't think of his name. Danny Granger. I apologize for that. And so they're moving in the right direction. Tyrese Halliburton, Miles Turner, and you have now Bruce Brown, who is a championship caliber role player to have on your team. Kyle Kuzma signs with the Washington Wizards at 4 years at $102 million. Washington slowly doing a rebuild. They have Jordan Poole, who they got from the trade from the Golden State Warriors, where they traded Chris Paul for Jordan Poole. And now you have Kyle Kuzma, Michael Wingate, who's now in the Washington Wizards management of basketball decisions and making slowly putting some moves together through trades, slowly pulling some things together through free agency, slowly building the team through the draft. My big question mark, however, is the coach. And I believe it's Wes Unseld Jr. He's the question mark here. Most of the time when you see a change in upper management, basketball operations and general managers, they typically want their own guy as a head coach. And so got to keep an eye on that one. Then you have Cam Johnson, who signs with the Nets, with 4 years. And he signed with for 4 years for $108 million. And then Dante DiVincenzo, who was with the Golden State Warriors, now comes to the New York Knicks at 4 years for $50 million. I think this is definitely the sleeper free agent signing right here. The sleeper free agent signing. And let's just, for a few minutes, hit on why. Well, first of all, he had a nice year with the Golden State Warriors. He was shooting a little under 40% at the 3 points. He had a career year in different categories. He struggled in his first rookie year, but he turned it on with the Golden State Warriors. He really demonstrated that he is a person who can hit the three-pointer, but also can play defense. On top of that, he played college basketball with Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart. So there's some chemistry there that these guys can immediately click together, and you can begin to slowly build the team that you have in place with Randall and the rest of those boys. And so this, to me, is a big, important signing for the New York Knicks. Now, there is some talk that possibly the Knicks may have an interest in James Harden. No, please don't make that mistake and turn around and take us back to the days of Carmelo Anthony, where you give up, Gallinari, Chandler, you give up all these pieces for one player. Please, Knicks, don't please. You're building in the right direction, and signing DiVincenzo to I think was a nice $50 million contract. Hey, continue to build. This is going to be a key year for Thibodeau. He needs to be put on the hot seat, especially when you've seen some coaches like Monty Williams from Phoenix, who's now with the Detroit Pistons, lose his job. You saw Doc Rivers lose his job, and you see Mike Budenholzer. He was with the Bucks, and now he's off. This needs to be the year that Thibodeau really, really shows and demonstrates he can get the Knicks not just to the second round, but he can get the New York Knicks past the second round and more in the direction of NBA championship, playing meaningful basketball in May and June. So let's keep our eye on that one as well. So those are your notable signings. Who are your biggest winners from this free agency? Well, first of all, I would have to say you would have to give it to the Los Angeles Lakers. They are my biggest winners from NBA free agency. They signed Gabe Vincent from the Miami Heat to a 3-year deal of $33 million, who was an undrafted player who really came out during the NBA Finals. And so along with Hayes, along with re-signing Austin Reeves, along with signing Rui Hachimura and more, the Los Angeles Lakers. And man, he's the general manager. He's escaping my mind at this moment. Former U of M, NBA, former U of M college basketball player. But he'll come to me. The Los Angeles Lakers, A+. They are to me the biggest winners of the free agency. And then next you have the Cleveland Cavaliers. Max Strus, another former Miami Heat player that was really showing up during the NBA Finals, signs for 4 years, which is $63 million. And then you have, as I said, the Houston Rockets. Not only do they get Fred VanVleet, but they get Dylan Brooks, who signs. You have the New York Knicks, who also re-signed Josh Hart, who opted into his contract and basically is now, eligible for an extension. And so him opting in, I believe, played a key role in them getting Dante DiVincenzo and continuing to build the Knicks in the right direction. So those are my 4 big winning teams. Who are my losers? Who are my losers from this weekend's free agency? You have to say it's the Portland Trailblazers, because signing Jeremy Grant to that contract, sure, it brought back some stability, but when Damian saw that, and now for him to want to request a trade, you really now have put yourself in a situation now where you're going to have to go to a complete full rebuild, and now you're looking to lose Damian Lillard. And I don't think this trade is going to happen right away. Just as Kevin Durant, he requested a trade. Excuse me. But that trade didn't happen right away. But to me right now in free agency, the Trailblazers are the biggest losers. The Miami Heat not re-signing Gabe Vincent, Max Strus. They, to me, become number 2. The Toronto Raptors, number 3, and losing Fred VanVleet. And the Philadelphia 76ers, even though James Harden opted back into his contract, now that he is requesting a trade, now, what does that do for the MVP Joel Embiid? If they end up trading him, what pieces can they get back that is going to be basically help the Sixers to be competitive and being able to get to the second round again and possibly to the Eastern Conference Finals? So they are number 4. My biggest winners, I believed, is the Los Angeles Lakers. They end up winning this NBA free agency. Rob Pelinka, there we go. The general manager, Rob Pelinka, is who did a marvelous job this free agency and putting a team together for the Lakers, for LeBron, Anthony Davis, They were able to re-sign D'Angelo Russell, like I said, Rui Hachimura, Austin Reeds. This guy came together with his team to really put a good stamp on the Lakers being able to get back to the Western Conference Finals. But ultimately, it's going to hinge on Anthony Davis. LeBron is getting into another year, but you need Anthony Davis to be healthy from the start of the NBA season to playoff basketball. Now, I don't know what that's going to look like to help him to get himself ready. He's had a history of having injuries, but he's going to have to turn it around. He's going to have to turn it around for the Lakers to get back to the Western Conference Finals and possibly play in the NBA Finals in June. But Rob Pelinka definitely helped the Lakers win this free agency for 2023. And so my question for you, those of you who are watching Team Live or watching the replay up to this point, which I do appreciate you watching the second episode of NBA Sports Talk, my question of the day for you is, who is the team is the biggest winner in free agency? Is it the Los Angeles Lakers? Is it the Houston Rockets? Or is it someone else that you may be thinking? Let me know in the comments section of this replay, of this episode, of this podcast, who is your biggest winner? And so that is our content for our second episode of NBA Sports Talk. We're going to continue on talking about free agency. Now that free agency is over, we want to get into some other free agency things, talk about some teams, on how free agency has now put them in the right direction to move forward. And we're going to get into some history about the history of free agency, and also talk about, through the years of free agency, what has been the biggest 5 signings of free agency. So we're going to cover that and more in the weeks to come. So we'll definitely be back on NBA Sports Talk on Thursday at 8 p.m. So we definitely want you to be a part of the conversation. This is not a show that is about talking and sharing about the biggest take. This is not about having the most heated debate and trying to get you a point. This is NBA Sports Talk, where we're talking NBA sports and more from the fans' perspective. And so you being a part of the live chat is truly important. And so as we grow this live stream show, we definitely want you, the fan, to be a part of it, whether if you are a fan of Detroit, the Detroit Pistons, of the Los Angeles Lakers, or the New York Knicks, or more. NBA Sports Talk is the place for the NBA sports fan to be able to be a part of this experience. And so that's it for this episode. Do me a favor, unlock the door, let the women and children out. NBA Sports Talk now is off the air. We'll see you on Thursday night at 8 p.m. God bless.